Hi, welcome. I'm Nina Simon, as Reimer graciously introduced me. And I'm going to talk some today about some of the basics around social technology and some of the concepts behind how it works, why it works, and then some really specific examples of how to use it in museums. To give you a little bit of background, I'm not from the arts, and the museums I have worked in are primarily probably not the kinds of museums that are represented here. I started out working in science and children's museums, hands-on museums. I moved to history museums. I was at the Spy Museum for several years. And now I do work with mostly history and science museums, but also some art institutions and some heritage institutions that are either local history centers and things like that. But I come more from an interactive background and come from a background as an exhibit designer. I'm not a web or a technology person fundamentally. And so that's really why I'm here, is that I am a very greedy person when it comes to exhibit design, and I want every tool that we can have to be able to make our exhibits as exciting and useful for visitors as possible. And so I don't see, while I use the word revolutionize here because I do think there are some cultural changes that are going on that are quite dramatic, what I see as an opportunity with social technology, or what some people call Web 2.0, is really just an opportunity for us to expand the toolbox of the ways that we engage with our visitors and our audiences. And that's not to say this is going to replace everything we do in museums or cultural institutions, but that it's more options for us, more ways to engage our visitors, and hopefully to get them engaged with and loving us. Because I think ultimately, that's why we're all involved in this, is because we care about the stuff or the art or the ideas that our institutions represent, and we want other people to care about those things too. And we want to find ways to have discussions with people about those things, and we want to be able to invite people who are not the people coming through our doors every day to be part of those discussions. And so that's what really drives me here, not thinking about technology as a cool new thing, but thinking about some new tools that can help us really engage with visitors. And so I guess I should mention that the things I'm not going to talk about are around some specifics of what Web 2.0 tools are out there, or statistics about their use. I'd be happy if any of you later want to talk about, there are fabulous reports out there on international use and trends around Web 2.0. But I fundamentally believe that none of us are going to convince others in our institutions to do this stuff based on an argument that everybody's doing it. I think there's no statistics, no number that you can point to and say to your director, here, this is why we have to do it. You know, I don't know if they have a saying like this here, but in the US, they have this saying about your mother saying, you say to your mother, oh, I want to smoke, or whatever, and your mother says, well, if everybody else wants to jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge too? And I think one of the problems we have around social technology and getting it used in cultural heritage institutions is that often the argument is based on, oh, look how cool this is, or, oh, look at all these people who are using this. And I think that for decision makers in our institutions, it's not that they're bad people, it's that they don't, that's not a compelling argument. I think we can have more compelling arguments based around, hey, here are some tools that can change the way that we relate with our visitors. So that's what I'm going to focus on here today. So I want to start by talking about what is social technology. I tend to use the word social technology instead of Web 2.0 or social media because I feel like it's very neutral. It doesn't say that you have to be on the internet for it to happen. And there are lots of examples of social technologies. So these examples, on the left is YouTube, obviously a very popular video sharing site. In the middle is a website called Overplot, and I guess I'll mention all of these slides and all of the links that are associated with them are on the web, and I'll give you the address at the end, so don't feel like you need to find all these things right now. This middle thing, Overplot, is an example of what's called a mashup. So on the web, through Google Maps, there are these maps of Manhattan. There's also a website called Overheard in New York, where people can record funny conversations they overhear and the intersection where they heard them. And then what happens is this website mashes those two data streams, the conversations and the map, together to make this map that you can surf around. And you see all of those little circles, the red or the blue, indicate that there's a conversation to look at now. And I'll warn you that I don't recommend looking at this with your children around because many of them are quite offensive, but very funny. The last example here is Post Secret, and I'm going to talk more about that. It's an art project in which people all over the world send postcards with secrets they've never told anybody before to this guy, Frank Warren, who's in Maryland. And it's a very powerful project that I think speaks to a lot of the power around social technology, which is people sharing and expressing things that are very important and personal to them and sharing them with other people who care about it. But I just want to really emphasize that there are so many different kinds of social technologies. You know, I think these things in our badges are social technologies. It's a piece of paper, but it's mediating an opportunity for you to connect with other people. I think that there are a lot of bars that function with social technologies because there's a lot going on there around encouraging people to connect around objects, around experiences. And so I'm very interested in how museums, whether it's through artifacts or whether it's through experiences, can use our items and turn them into social objects that become these mediating experiences among people. So all of that to say, you don't need the web to do this. However, the web has a lot of power to it that accelerates the impact of these things. And so I want to go back to this Post Secret project. Fundamentally, Post Secret is about people making and sending in postcards. This is a photograph of one of the Post Secret books. And the web is not fundamentally needed for this project. The social technology has to do with the Postal Service. It has to do with these objects, these postcards that are getting mailed in. And Frank Warren, the person who's collecting these, can do things like do lectures, put out books of these postcards, and he can do all of that stuff without using the web. However, I'll just ask you for curiosity, how many people have heard of Post Secret or have seen any of these? All right, well, my guess is awesome. If you couldn't see because you were facing me very politely, that was at least, I would say, half of the room. My guess is that most of you did not find out about Post Secret through the books, through sending in a postcard, or by hearing Frank speak. Probably you heard about it through the web. Because the thing is that the web isn't necessary to share these kinds of things, but it makes a lot of aspects of it easier. And so the way that you probably interacted with Post Secret is through their website, which is a blog. And their blog is put out through Blogger, which is a free service of Google. And it really takes about 5 seconds to make a blog. These are the 3 steps you need, and that's what Frank did to start. And so what Frank was able to do through the blog was to publish all of these postcards out to a wider audience. It also means that you can interact with them in different ways. This is a screen grab from the blog, and you can see that you can get the blog in different languages, you can subscribe to it, you can send emails of the postcards to other people. So there's this opportunity to distribute and to redistribute it very easily through the blog in that way. It also makes it easier for people to choose how they want to access it. I don't want to always have to go to a book or go to a lecture to hear about these things, and I also don't want to always have to go to a website. So one of the things that a blog allows you to do is to push the content out so that people can receive it by email, or in this case, I'm showing you, this is my Google Reader, so this is the way that I receive blog posts. Whenever there's a new blog post from a blog that I follow, it gets sent right to my homepage, and you can see I've circled the Sunday Secrets, the new one that had come from Post Secret that week. So the idea is that it's sort of like switching from requiring somebody to go to the library to get a book to being able to send that book to somebody when they want it, when it's available. And I think that's a very powerful service in terms of the direct access to information. All of this web stuff also makes it much easier to track the impact and the conversations going around this content. So this is a screen grab on the right from a website called Technorati that's used to track blogs. And you can see that there are 14,814 reactions on blogs about Post Secret. And Frank or anybody can scroll down and can see what people are talking about Post Secret, whether they're just linking to it or whether they're having a comment about it. A couple of years ago, I wrote about Post Secret on my blog, and I was shocked that one of the very first comments that came from Frank himself. And I was like, wow, this guy, is he psychic? How did he know? And of course, what I learned over time was that he was using services like these to find out what people were saying about him, and when there was something that was of interest that he wanted to connect back to, he had an easy way to have a direct relationship back with me. And so if you think about all of these things, It means that Frank, as the producer, as the publisher of this material, the people who are sending in the postcards, the creators of this material, have the opportunity to have so many more rich conversations around it with a worldwide group of people who are connected to each other. And it really increases the power of the experience. So it's not just putting something out there into the ether, it's putting something out and having that be a basis for a rich conversation.